You want to know that you're on the right track or things are going okay, and I want my video to be that one that will be like, yes, you're doing great, keep going. Hello, welcome. In today's video I'm going to go through everything I've learned about YouTube in the past 6 months. I posted my first video 6 months ago. So much has happened in that time. I think the first point I want to make, the first thing that I've learned is to not compare yourself to anyone else. And I know you might think that that's a boring point or kind of an obvious point, but I've seen so many videos of people talking about how they've grown their channel, talking about a specific time frame, whether they've had their channel for a year or 3 months, or for me I'm doing 6 months here, and they've been able to make like amazing progress. You know, I've seen videos of people who have only done 30 videos and have got 100,000 subscribers, and while that's amazing and good for them, I haven't really seen that many videos of people, like normal people like me, who have no experience, are just trying to work it out, and who have not had that massive escalation. I just wanted to do a video that would help the past me. I'm thinking of one video in particular. It just seemed unfair for this person to be making all of these claims about how they were able to grow so quickly. While it's definitely possible, it's not what happens for the majority of people, because if it did, then everyone would do this. Everyone would, if in 30 videos you could have 100,000 subscribers. It made me think a lot, that video, because it reminded me kind of people who like at 20 are like, oh, I bought a house, and you're like, okay, you clearly had some help with that. Like, that's not a normal thing for most people to be able to do. So I hope this video is able to fill that kind of gap of being just like a normal average person, what their journey has been like, what you can expect. I know I'm saying don't compare to other people, but I think if you are going to compare, because I think it is natural for us to try and seek comparisons, whether favourably or not, you want to know that you're on the right track or things are going okay. And I want my video to be that one that will be like, yes, you're doing great, keep going, as opposed to getting that feeling of, oh, I'm not good enough, or I'm clearly doing something wrong if I've done however many videos and I've not seen this growth. So first thing, don't compare. There will be so many things in different people's backgrounds that you aren't aware of that make them more inclined to be good at a certain thing, or to have more ideas, or maybe they have a certain educational background, they have more time. There will be so many different factors that you might not be aware of. So you comparing yourself to other people, it's not going to help, because there'll be so many things that are contributing to this person's success or their ability to create more. If you're comparing yourself to them, it's taking away from the things that you can do, because that's all you need to focus on, is what you can do. And along those same lines of focusing on what you can do, I would say post whatever video and then leave it alone. Like, you just need to abandon it, because you've done all of the work now. Nothing you do is gonna make or break the success of that video. You sat there looking at your studio, refreshing it, being like, is this gonna do well? It gives you the 1 out of 10 rankings, and you can get caught up in that as well. My most recent video is 10 out of 10, and it's just a bit disheartening sometimes, because you're like, I put in as much effort on that one, but it's clearly to do with like the topic. There are gonna be things naturally that people are more interested in or not. But I think you need to avoid sitting there ruminating, overthinking. This is going to be a big theme that I'm going to keep coming back to, but post it, put as much work as you can into that. Think about the title, make sure that you're in a good mood when you film it, try and make it an interesting idea or something that you think you have a lot to say about. Do your thumbnail well, like do all of the elements, write a good description, include your keywords, everything you normally do. Make it the best you can for this idea, this vision of what you want your video to be. But as soon as you've posted it, leave it alone. It's gonna either do well or not. I know you can like think, oh, do I need to change the title, change the thumbnail? You can get caught up in those details. I would say use all of that energy you're putting into obsessing over that video and being like, oh my gosh, is it gonna do well? I thought this was gonna be a good idea. Oh no. Use all of that, put it into the next one. And this is where it's helpful to keep going and always have ideas on the go, because then once you've posted that one, you already have one that you've started editing. You're never starting afresh. Whether you have a list of video ideas you want to go through, you've filmed a few, you always have something else to work on, and then take all of the energy you're putting into this one you've just done and put that into your new one and try and make that one better. I did have a video blow up, but it happened gradually, and I think this is what happens if you are a smaller channel. Is, yeah, it is possible for your videos to go viral, but I think more often than not what's going to happen is it's just going to gradually, you know, over a period of weeks, you're suddenly going to get all of the views. I have had ones where they've spiked in the first day and got like hundreds of views and then flatlined, but the one that I'm thinking of that has performed the best, that was really bad for the first few days and then it slowly gained traction. So So you sat there staring at your studio waiting for something to happen. If you're a small channel, chances are it's going to be gradual over a period of weeks. I think also this idea of just posting it and then moving on to the next one is good because it gets you away from the idea of perfectionism. I can be a bit of a perfectionist, and this is one of the things that I've really appreciated doing my YouTube channel for 6 months now. One of the things it has taught me is that don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. You have an idea and you make it, and it's not going to be the best it can be, but it can be the best that you can do at that moment in time, and that's what you need to aim for. Not obsess over, oh, this isn't good enough. If you get caught up in your perfectionist tendencies, you'll be like, should I do a zoom here, or should I add this text, or should I add this photo? You can get caught up in the tiny little details, and yes, it's important, you should be paying attention to everything to make sure you can make the best video you can. If that's just feeding into your perfectionism, it's definitely not worth obsessing over a specific point of your video. Moving on to the next one, always have an idea on the go. Don't get like so attached to a particular idea or a particular video that when you've posted it you're like, oh no. To me it's more about iterations of the same thing. If you're trying to get away from perfectionism, there will be points where you'll look back and be like, I was talking about this topic and I didn't include that point. What's wrong with me? I was doing a reset and I didn't include, you know, meal prepping. Whatever your topics are that you talk about, it's not about putting it all into that one video. You can make variations of the same thing, which is what your channel is going to be made up of. You're going to be talking about similar themes, bringing in different threads. So it doesn't matter if you like missed a point there and you thought, oh, I should have mentioned that. You can just put that then into your next video. It's all about iterations. It's not about creating like the perfect video. I think another important point to make here is that this is supposed to be fun. You can get so caught up in the minutiae of how to make a good video that you forget like this is supposed to be fun, and it is. Don't get so caught up in creating like perfect thing or worrying that this isn't going to move you forward. You're always going to be moving forward if you're trying different things, if you're experimenting, if you try this thing because you think I really want to make a video about this topic. Yeah, look at your analytics, look at what colors work best or what font you want to use or what structure you want to make your video, but it is ultimately supposed to be something that you enjoy doing. So don't get so caught up on all of the technical bits that you forget to actually enjoy just the process of what this is. Another thing I wish I could tell myself 6 months ago when I was just getting started is that it does get easier or quicker. I used to take ages to edit something just because like I had zero experience, like coming at this completely brand new. Whereas now I can probably edit like a 13-minute clip in an hour, and that would have been unheard of at the beginning. It would take me, I don't know, I didn't time it, and we'll get onto that in a second, but it would have taken me so long, whereas now I can film, edit, and then post in the evening if I want to. That's not ideal. I do quite like to have a bit of breathing room, but in a pinch I could film it on the day and then edit it and then post it on the same day. So it does get easier the more you do it. The thing about the timing is another thing that I think is important, is that this editing in particular I think is a task that it will eat up as much time as you give it. So it can be helpful to set yourself 20-minute chunks just to be like, okay, I'm gonna sit down for 20 minutes and edit as much as I can and really hyper focus on it, not kind of sit and be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna try and edit the beginning or the main chunk of the video in the next couple of hours, and give yourself like time to kind of drift in and out of focus of it, and oh, I'm gonna go make some tea now or whatever's happening. It's really gonna eat as much time as you give it. And coming back to perfection and overthinking, the same applies to questions you'll have about, have I added in enough B-roll? Have I added in enough text? If you don't put a time limit on the editing, it will just eat all of the time. It's great to experiment, and I guess if you have the time, why not? But I think don't give it so much time that it then becomes something that's draining you or something that you don't enjoy doing anymore because you're just like, oh, I've been editing this for days and it's not done yet. Another thing I wish I could have told myself earlier, don't censor yourself. If you have an idea for a video, because what often happens with me is I will get like a phrase or just a sentence and I'll be like, there's so much behind that I could talk about. Some of the ones I've done are act the way you want to feel, no one is coming to save you, stop choosing a bad life for yourself. And behind those phrases, I knew exactly what I wanted to talk about. And I think it's important to follow that impulse. So if you have suddenly a burning desire to make a video about how you cleared out your wardrobe or reorganized your bookshelf, or you really want to talk about this book that you just read or this film you just watched and it was really good and it had a big impact on you, you want to share that, I think you need to follow that impulse instead of automatically thinking, oh, but will my audience like that? Or if you're trying to build an audience, like you're starting, like I started from zero, I didn't tell anyone about my channel, so it was really from nothing. Instead of thinking about, oh, are people gonna watch this? It's important, obviously, to make something that you think people will find valuable. You do need to think about the people who are watching your video, otherwise why are you making it? But you need to first follow what you like to talk about, because that's what people are drawn to. Like, people can sense if you're talking about a topic that you're really passionate about, that will come across, and you'll be able to take an idea that you thought maybe wouldn't be that interesting or people wouldn't enjoy as much, and you'll be able to turn it into something because you are following that passion that you have. Similarly, if you're thinking like, oh, who will care about this, or who am I to think that I can talk about this topic? In that instance, you need to let the audience decide. Yes, caveat, if you're thinking who cares, if you're staring at a chunk of your video and thinking like, is this interesting enough for like the average person who doesn't know me to watch? And if the answer is no, cut it out. Like, you do need to be a bit ruthless when you're editing. I'm probably guilty of this. I'll probably be able to watch back my videos and be like, why did you keep that in? You're always learning as you go. But in terms of thinking who cares, as in, is my opinion important? Is this valuable? Who will be interested in what I have to say? Let the audience decide. The audience will tell you. Before you are censoring yourself and thinking like, why will anyone care about this, or will anyone watch this? Just post it and see what happens, because you might be surprised by the outcome. The video that I'm thinking of that I just made because I really wanted to, and I didn't really research it, because normally I try and do some keyword research or look if other people have made similar videos just to see if there's like an interest around the topic. That doesn't like determine for me whether or not I'm going to make the video, but it's just something to be aware of, and I think it's an important thing to do, and it doesn't take a lot of time. The video I'm thinking of is the change your life by focusing on the little things. That video I didn't do any research for really, because I was just like, I feel like I want to make this video, and that's the one that is like performing the best on my channel and has done the best. I just put that out there and let the audience decide, and they were like, oh yeah, I'm interested in that, I'd quite like to see that. As well as letting the audience decide, thinking about how the audience has the final say. So I'm thinking another one of my videos which I posted because I didn't have anything else, and ideally I would have not posted it because I watched it back and I was like, I don't really like my energy in this, but it was on the day and I was like, I need to post something. Fine, I'll post it. But to me it was like, surely it's not going to do well, and that doesn't matter because I've still learned from the experience. I'm not saying like put out rubbish content. For me, I think I just have like a higher standard because I put this video out and it again is one of like my top performing videos. So let the audience decide. People will see different things in what you make than what you intended, or that what you think. You might have a very critical eye and be really hard on yourself and be like, your makeup looks weird in that video, I can't post it, or like my voice is weird, or something about my energy is off. But you've got to remember that you know what's going on behind the scenes. So you might be like, oh, I remember I filmed that video on a day when I wasn't feeling very well, or something bad had happened and I was just feeling a bit sad, and you might think that that's coming across. But someone else might watch it who knows nothing of that backstory of what's happened, and they might be like, oh yes, they just might really connect to what you're saying. Let the audience decide, because you are your worst critic. And like, what's the worst that can happen if you post it and no one watches it? The worst that happened there is that people didn't watch it, and that doesn't mean that people aren't going to watch it in the future. It might take off at a later date. That happened to me as well. Like, don't hold yourself back because you're putting all of these opinions about what's good enough or what people will enjoy. Like, just put it out there and see what happens. Because the other thing to remember is that no one is forcing anyone to watch this video, right? Any video that you make, no one is being forced to watch it. The worst that they could do if they don't like it is not watch it and just leave. Like, just make what you like, and there will be people who are naturally drawn to that because you're talking about something that you care about. Linked to this about you'll be surprised at what people are interested in is that your perspective is valuable and needed. So you might think, why does anyone want to watch like a reset video? On my worst self-doubt days, I have these thoughts, but it's like, I'm interested in this when I see other people make them because they're living a different life. Think of all of your favorite YouTube creators and the people that you like watching. I'm thinking of, I know quite a few who live in Toronto, so they're vlogging Toronto, or they're talking about living there, or they're just showing their life, and I know that they live in a different country. Like, it's just the small things that will draw me in and make me interested, and I'm interested in their life even if they're just like, here's an apartment tour, or here's me like going to college, and I'm like, oh cool, like I find it interesting. Why wouldn't someone find your videos interesting as well? That's something to bear in mind when the self-doubt comes in. But also, your perspective is valuable because the same way that you watch other people's channels, or that you have someone who you think, oh, I really want to hear their opinion on this, you see they've posted a video and they're talking about a specific topic, you're like, oh, I can't wait to watch that, I want to hear what they think. You can be that person too. And also, I would say, think about all of the people in the world that you know the names of, all of the horrible people, people whose job is to like write horrible things about other people. You know these people's names, even if you don't like them or don't even read anything that they put out. You just know who they are because they're such controversial figures. If those people are out there just being horrible and mean to other people, why do you think that you should hold yourself back if you're just trying to help people or share your story or try and relate to other people? Like, the world needs your perspective. You need to create something if you feel drawn to do it. Don't hold yourself back from creating just because you feel like your perspective isn't good enough, or you're not good enough, or you're having these self-doubt thoughts. Something I was worried about when I started was that I would run out of things to talk about. So if you're just starting out, I would say, do not worry, you won't run out of things to talk about, or at least this is directly to my 6 months ago self. Don't worry, there is so much to talk about. Because as long as you keep growing, reading different things, listening to different things, having different experiences, watching new films, reading new books, getting just new perspectives, the more that you're doing this, there will always be something to talk about. And the same way that we said earlier, it can all be about iterations. So you might have made a video about one thing and then you might watch it back and be like, oh, that phrase stuck out to me. I didn't really explore that much in depth in this video, so now I can do that in a new video. And to be honest, I find that the more I create, like I've done 55 long videos on my channel now, but the more that I create, the more ideas I have. It's like the creativity like feeds itself because you're opening up more ideas every time you have one. It's like looking at a map and then it's suddenly just like getting bigger and bigger because you're like, oh, there are all of these routes to explore. There are all of these things that I could talk about. As long as you're talking about something that you're passionate about, you care about, you're not going to run out of things, don't worry. I wanted to also include some practical tips in this video. I know I've talked a lot about ideas, creativity, perfectionism, but practically I have some things that I've written down that I want to talk about. Get an external hard drive. Videos take up so much space, not just like the exported video, but just like the clips. If you're sitting down and filming a video, like a talking head video like this, and you've got like a half-an-hour clip or a 20-minute clip, that's going to take up a lot of space and it's going to run out. Like my computer I think is 250 gigabytes, gone within I don't even know how long, and I kind of eked it out by getting 120 gigabytes USB sticks. That helped for a little bit, but my life has got so much easier since I bought an external hard drive, which is 2 terabytes, because I don't have to worry about the space anymore and I can just drag things across. I'm not like, oh, I need to move this around. Like, just no, get an external hard drive. Yes, it is a bit of an investment, but it's definitely worth it if you're doing this. That's one practical tip. Get an editor that exports in 1080p. It might cost a bit more, but I think it's really worth it. I don't know, maybe people don't notice, but this is something that I notice when I'm watching other people's videos. Even people who have 200,000 subscribers, they'll still be exporting in 720, and I'm like, come on, like, what are you doing? You need to have 1080. But that's just a personal thing. If it's not something that's a possibility for you, don't worry about it. But batch recording is very helpful if you are very busy or if you get in a creative flow. Like I've made this video now, got used to talking, I'm kind of in the zone now. But the flip side of that is you can be quite drained by talking. Like this video, I think I've been filming for half an hour now of just talking and talking. That's not really something you do in everyday life because normally you have conversations with people, so you're not just straight talking for half an hour. So you decide, try it out, but batch recording can be helpful in terms of like, I've put on my makeup, I've set everything up here, I've planned the videos, I'm going now, and it also is helpful, like we talked about earlier, in terms of always having something on the go so that you're not starting from scratch every single time when you've posted a video and then you're like, oh, I've got to film another one now. You've always got something on the go. Also though, you need to be aware of space. So again, get an external hard drive because you are going to run out of space on your phone if you're filming on your phone or on your camera, and that will be so annoying. Other practical tips, always make sure you charge it up fully and always make sure you have enough space. We just talked about that. Whatever you're using, if you're filming on your phone or a camera, get into the habit of always charging it up, get a different battery pack, whatever you need to do to make sure that you're not going to end up halfway through filming a video and then having to stop because you ran out of battery. Another thing I've written down is you don't need lots of fancy effects, because if the content is good, people will watch it. Yes, you need to always have your audience in mind and make things interesting to watch, but if what you're saying is engaging enough, you won't need to hide it with loads of effects. It depends what kind of audience you want. Some people do go the over-edited route and that's what works for them. It's about the tone of your videos as well. Like, do you want it look really over-edited, or do you want it kind of a bit more grounded? If you're worrying, I'm not good enough at editing, if your content is valuable enough and the discussions you're having or the things you're talking about are resonating with people, the editing and all of the effects is gonna be secondary to that, so don't worry too much about that. Ultimately, what I think I've learned in the past 6 months is that it's really just been another example of it's about the journey, not the destination. I have learned so much about myself and about obviously practically what growing a channel or building a channel even involves on YouTube. I've learned to enjoy the process not only of posting videos and getting feedback on the videos, but just enjoy the process of sitting down and coming up with ideas, noting down ideas as I'm on a walk and thinking, ah, that will be a good video to make. Enjoying every part of the process instead of just being obsessed with what the final product looks like or how people are going to respond. Yes, you do need to keep in mind how people will respond, but if you can enjoy every part of the process, it's going to make the whole thing so much more wholesome and just a better experience for you. Don't like be fixated on, oh, I want 50 subscribers or 100 subscribers. Those things are great, but they are a product of all of the other things that we've talked about. If you're in the process and focus more on the process, it takes all of the pressure off any of those goals that you have, because you know that eventually you're gonna get there. You know, if I keep trying to get better with my editing, if I keep trying to follow my passion or follow the ideas that speak to me, if I keep doing these things, then all of the goals that you have, whether it's views or subscribers or watch time, whatever it is, all of those things will happen, and you're just taking the time pressure off yourself because you're instead focusing on the process instead of focusing on the end goal. And I think another important aspect is the community aspect. I'm so grateful that there are a few people who are always popping up in the comments, and you have really supported me, so thank you. And that's an aspect that I guess I wasn't really expecting so much, because I just really didn't think that anyone would watch anything that I was making. So that I'm very grateful for. If I could go back 6 months and be like, guess what, there'll be people who are watching all of them, or who have something to say, and like you can have a discussion about this topic that you've made a video on, I'd be like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. And that's something to appreciate as well, and that's part of the journey too. I am very grateful for my channel, for everything I've learned, for the 55 or 56 videos now that I've got up on my channel so far. Thank you so much if you have supported my channel, left a comment. If you have not left a comment and yet you're watching, please introduce yourself in the comments. I would love to hear from you. I hope this has inspired you, encouraged you on your YouTube creator journey. God bless, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.